Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed that little edit I made. So as you can see, I recently got a 325A in-game, and I wanted to make some videos about it because it's a pretty versatile ship, and I really enjoy flying it. So this video is going to be about using it for combat, and I was going to do another video about using it for deliveries since it is a great delivery ship. But since 310 seems to be coming soon and is going to have a lot more options for delivery missions, I'm going to wait on that one for now. Alright, so I'm going to start out like I usually do by showing you some combat with the 325A's stock loadout. And similar to the Buccaneer, it comes stock with an all-fixed loadout. Now it does have some good firepower with a size 4 hardpoint on the nose and size 3 hardpoints on each wing, but since I'm doing this in 3.9, fixed weapons are still a pain to use. Especially since the weapons this comes with have a slower rate of fire, it's pretty hard to get those shots on target, especially against smaller ships like this Buccaneer. Maneuverability wise though, this ship is excellent. It's not quite on the level of light fighters like the Arrow and Gladius, but it's more maneuverable than stuff like Hornets, and it's pretty fast too. So for this video, I'm going to switch out the loadout for a gimbaled one, but if you're using a fixed loadout, you might want to just wait and save your money until 3.10, because the slight auto aim that they added in 3.10 makes a massive difference. So this footage is from the PTU, and as you can see, I'm hitting a lot of shots with the stock Buccaneer, which also has all fixed weapons. So it's definitely a noticeable improvement, but I feel like it's not that overpowered. I really like this change personally, because I think it just makes both gimbaled and fixed viable, instead of having gimbaled really being your only option unless you're going against much bigger ships. The damage difference between the two is not very much. Moving up a size only gives you about 30 to 40% more damage, and even though the assist helps, it's still not as much as the assist that gimbals give you. So I think they found a pretty good balance where both can be viable, and it's nice to have the option of using either. Although if you're not using a mouse, you'll probably still want to stick to gimbals. Alright, now back to the 325. This, as you can see, is the stock loadout, and I'm using Erkul, which is a very useful website and is linked below. So even if you do want to stick with fixed weapons, I would recommend switching out the quantum drive at least, since the stock one is very fast but it gives you very little range, which hurts the ship's box running abilities. Also, the power generator is very borderline, so I switched that one out to support the power draw of the laser repeaters that I'm going to be adding, but you might want to do that anyway, because if you overclock something you might end up running out of power even if you don't switch anything out. This is what the stats look like with those two changes. And now here's the gimbaled setup that I switched the weapons to. There are other options, and these CF series repeaters don't have the best range, but I personally like using them. So this loadout is mostly focused on doing PvE combat, which is why I saved money on upgrading the other stuff, because it doesn't really make much of a difference if you're just going against NPCs. But if you want the best loadout possible, I would just use this website, and you can compare all the components that are available, and it even tells you where to buy them. Anyway, I picked up most of the parts I needed from Dumpers Depot and Center Mass over here on Area 18. And I got the power unit over at Her L2 outside of Hurston. Now it's time to try them out. So like I found with the Buccaneer, in 3.9 gimbaled weapons are just much easier to use. You notice it the most when you're taking out fighters, and the damage output you lose isn't that big of a deal when dealing with these bigger ships, especially with how up close and personal you can be with the 325's maneuverability. When you're right behind a ship like the Connie, it still doesn't take that much time to take it out, even with slightly smaller weapons. So as I let these clips play out, I just want to share my overall thoughts on the 325. Being an Origin ship, it's not the most practical buy. Even though it does all these things that I've talked about very well, it's very evenly matched by the cheaper Avenger Titan, which also happens to have double the cargo space. That being said, I really just like the looks of the 300 series, and you also have a toilet, which the Titan does not have. That might be important someday. So even though it's not the best bang for your buck, I don't think you can go wrong buying a ship from the 300 series, and they're all under 1,000,000 credits with the exception of the 350R, so it's pretty reasonable still. And lastly, I want to finish out with one not so useful tip for this ship. If you manage to get yourself stuck in the cargo area at the back, if you make your way towards the front and poke your head into the cabin through the floor, and you get close enough to get into the bed, you can enter the ship. So if you really need a rear entrance like the Titan has, you kinda have one. So that's all for this video, and thanks for watching.